Yo,
What up, though?
Top of the morning to you.
back at it.
What up?
Another episode, another day, another dollar.
Yes, sir. Can't wait.
Two more for you.
Two more for you. Hey, we do got two more for you.
Oh, literally.
We do got two more for
In the next year.
How y'all boys living, man? I'm gonna start with you.
Oh, man. 10 out of 10. Nothing hold me back, man. Just so much happiness. So many good conversations, man. God's doing him. It's going awesome. So 10 out of 10. Maybe even an 11 out of 10.
Boy, bro, yeesh, got an improper fraction.
Yeah. Hey, Einstein.
I bet he know all about it with that linear algebra.
How you doing, bro? How you doing?
No, hey, man, you can tell I'm feeling a 10 out of 10, bro. Let me tell you why, man. So a couple hours ago, about 5:30-ish, man, I went to the store and a woman complimented my shoes. Her name was Miss Betty, right? And so I said, Miss Betty, I'm a college student. I'm seeking some advice in all of your wonderful years of living. What's that one piece of advice that you can give me? And you want to know what Miss Betty said? Miss Betty said, trust in the Lord with all of your heart and acknowledge him in all your ways and he will direct your paths. If there's one piece of advice that I can give you, it's to trust in the Lord with all your heart. I said, Miss Betty, I needed to hear that tonight, man. I went from an 8.5 to a 10 out of 10 because Miss Betty, she told me to trust in the Lord with all my heart, man.
Shout out to her, then.
Miss
Shout
Betty,
out to her.
she a real one.
Shout out to Miss Betty. So, yeah, I'm a 10 out of 10. Semester's over, so I'm chilling, bro. Just time to spend with the Lord, so I'm a 10 out of 10, bro.
Dirties, 31 actually, boy. Another improper practice.
Put that thing down.
Man, we got an awesome episode for you guys, and because of this awesome episode, we want you guys to share this episode. Also, like and comment in real time because the topic today is the importance of wise counsel. So, Brother Josh, I'm curious, what has your experience been, or what could you share about the importance of having wise counsel?
Man, the importance of having wise counsel has truly just been like a game changer in my life. Specifically, just like, just giving me guidance on, paths to take or decisions to make, or just giving me guidance on, things that I'm not supposed to be, dealing with, So I think just having wise counsel and just hanging out with people that have more experience than you, especially in life, is an amazing thing to do, an amazing thing to learn from those people. So it's just really been a game changer for me just to help me with my growth and also my character.
Ooh, that's real. That experience is key, man. That's one of the things that I want to focus on when dealing with wise counsel is just that experience, man. Sometimes when you have wise counsel in your life, they help you make hard decisions. And maybe some of those decisions have happened in their life where that decision was hard for them. But because of their experience, they can help guide you in a new direction, in a direction that's going to help you save you from maybe a valley that they might have been in. And so in my experience, I haven't always been a guy who's received wise counsel well, just because, the narcissistic personality that I'm recovering, it's hard to be able to submit to authority in my life. But I think, as God has been working with me in the past, year and a half and some change, he's really allowed me to really submit to those around me, because at the end of the day, you guys and other people that are in my life just want the best for me. And if I'm tripping, if I'm slipping, you guys are going to call me out and then steer me back into the direction. That's what I think was just so beautiful about wise counsel, is because at the end of the day, you guys are just going to help me guide me back onto the path that God has for it.
Yeah, no. I mean, it's changed. It's been, for me, it's just been a game changer. You know what I'm saying? I say every episode, who you hanging with? And so it's because if you're hanging with certain people, have certain experiences or have lived through certain things, their perspective on it is going to be different. It's going to help you. So something that I would say is each of us isn't as smart as all of us, you know what I'm saying? And so I can be smart, but if you're also smart and I'm smart, we put it together, we're just thinking on a whole different stage. And so for me, I mean, picking colleges, picking post-college stuff, picking how I do my finances, picking my friends, having that counsel, and then that wise counsel has been a game changer, man. Hanging out with people that are older than me, people who have experience I don't have, just things that I haven't seen before, you know what I'm saying?
That's real, man. And I like how you mentioned, there's several different categories that you mentioned that you had wise counsel, whether it was, post-college decisions, whether it was finances, these are different, situations that we come across in life. And, sometimes a wise counsel, there isn't the same people for each category that you might face. I think that's important that we realize, because we can have somebody who's strong in one area who might be weak in another area. But because if we tend to make an idol out of that person, we can use them as that wise counsel for each category. And hopefully that wouldn't be the case, but if it was, you might be misled and now you're in a deeper hole that you're in. So I think it's important that we kind of have to identify, who's in our life and what counsel we can receive for what specific situation that we're in.
Right. And I think like with that too is just like with wise counsel comes submission and comes humility, because without having that humility or that, or that submission, like you won't be able to listen to the wise counsel, to listen to the advice that they're giving you for that specific part of your life. And so if you have the ability to be humble and to be, submissive to to those wise counsel around you and to those people that have been through more things than you have, man, it will take you even farther in life, just learning off of their experiences. And so like a previous episodes back, like we talked about being in the valley, like you can hang with people that have been in that same exact valley that you're in or been in a valley in general. And then you can learn from their experiences by them telling you, but how can you learn if you're not willing to listen,
And something that I also want to hit on is this idea of wise counsel. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people think that all counsel is wise counsel. You know what I'm saying? I think people that have the wise counsel are people that are wise, people that have had experiences, people that have been to places that you're trying to get to. You know what I'm saying? Because I think a lot of people, especially me up in the past, seek counsel, but it wasn't from wise people. It was just counsel in general. And I'm like, I'm seeking counsel. And then also I think it is also key to ask people who have a different perspective than you, because so many people ask their 4 best friends who got the same perspective as them. It's like, some people only ask them just so their friends are going to validate their own thoughts. Like, come on, bro, you're cheating the whole system. I was thinking of a president, a politician. They was a people up in their cabinet who are of the opposite perspective. You know what I'm saying? Because you want to hear different viewpoints.
So my question to you guys is, we talked about the importance of having wise counsel. How do we find this wise counsel? If somebody's watching this video right now and maybe they're listening to those 4 best friends who have the same perspective and obviously they might not be getting far with that, how do we identify what wise counsel looks like and what are some, options that we can take to grow in our wise counsel in the future?
So I think for me, just in my life, like most of the wise counsel that I have around me are consistent of people that's older than me, that's been, on this earth longer than I have. But also with that is the fruit. Like what fruit are they showing? Like what does their life look like, outside of our conversations, So kind of just seeing like, okay, do these people bear the fruit that I want to bear the fruit in my life? So that's the type of people that you want to have that wise counsel, the people that you want to be hanging around. But also at the same time, you want to hang out with people that's going to criticize you and not people that's just going to cheer you on. Something that he said in a different episode was you want to hang out with coaches, not cheerleaders. This is where cheerleaders don't know what's going on in the game. They just going to cheer regardless because that's their job. Whereas as far as a coach knows what's going on with your play style or whatever, and can tell you what you're doing wrong to a T.
I think that's key specifically because when we identify as a wise counsel, we have to identify their fruit. Because something to your point that you told me is, why would I listen to somebody who doesn't listen to their own advice, right? If they're I'm considering them to be wise counsel, but they're giving me advice that they're not actually following themselves, would that be useful for me to apply in my life? I think if we're hanging out with some coaches, there are a lot of questionable coaches in sports, right, bro? Some coaches, man, they lost every game, bro, for a reason. You got to get them out there, man. So that's important. I got to listen to some coaches that have a game plan, a winning strategy. That's not something that they just say and babble that gets to nowhere, man. So I think it's important when we're identifying what's a wise counsel, let's look at the fruit that they're showing. Okay, are they actually living out the counsel that they're giving me? Are they living out the advice that they're giving me? If they're telling me, hey, you should probably stay away from these areas, are they staying away from those areas themselves? If you see the fruit, now I can take that advice and apply it to my life. But if, on the other hand, if somebody's giving me advice, but I see them in the same situation that they just told me, like I say, out of, I might not want to consider that advice.
Also, what fruit are you searching for? And once you learn which fruit you're searching for, go to where that fruit is from. So if I'm looking for oranges, I shouldn't be at an apple orchard. You know what I'm saying? Because I think so many people are asking people that could be older and smart, but they're the wrong category. You know what I'm saying? So stop asking a plumber how to fix a car. You know what I'm saying? A plumber is going to do his job on plumbing stuff, but a car person is going to do his job on car stuff. And so it's like, if they have that fruit that you're searching for, ask them. But if they have a different fruit that you're not searching for, go down the street to a different orchard or something, bro.
I think something I like that you said is kind of, are they practicing what they preach, essentially? And so I think it can also tie into kind of just the misrepresentation of Christ as well, because there could be a lot of people that's, you know, professing to be a Christian, but they're in the clubs every weekend, or they're, you know, they're drinking and smoking every weekend, you know, but they're telling other people, hey, this is how you should be a better Christian. But it's like, you know, you're kind of disqualified, like your witness is shot because because
John Wilson,
you doing outlandish things, bro. That's foul. But
that's history.
Doing outlandish things. And so it's like, how can you try to help somebody when you're dealing with that yourself, you know? And also, when I think something that I've learned when it comes to wise counsel is, you know, it says in the Bible, be quick to listen and slow to speak. You know, without those being quick to listen and slow to speak, you will not have good, wise counsel around you.
You know, there's a verse in Proverbs says, like, without wise counsel, plans won't be established, man. So if you're navigating through life without wise counsel, it's going to be hard for your plans to come into fruition, man. To your point, man, we need people that are going to come in our life and criticize us. They're going to, you know, coach us up in the right way and steer us in the right direction so that our plans can actually be established, right? So let's say, I'm going to give some imagery real quick. Let's say, you know, I wanted to build a house, right? A house needs a foundation. So all of us, if we want a house in our lives, we're going to need some foundation. So if we use the imagery as a house and we're houses, we need wise counsel to be the foundation. But to your point, there's different categories, man. What do you need in laying the foundation of a house? Man, dude, you need a plumber. You need an electrician, bro. You need somebody to do the roof. All these people different are specific for one category, but ultimately they're gonna help that house be what it's supposed to be. But if I'm only hanging out with electricians, bro, yeah, I'm gonna have a lot of electricity, bro. But I might not have no running water, you know what I mean? But I'm hanging out with a plumber, bro. I might have some water, but the lights ain't about to be home, bro. So we gotta have people that are in different situations to help establish the foundation so that we can move forward together instead of being in one place. And then also, if we don't have any wise counsel at all, man, that house ain't being built, bro. We just gonna be on the street.
Bro, I love that house analogy because I kind of see it in a different light, to whereas we can have Christ be the foundation and that wise counsel can be the bricks that help hold that house up. And so if we're that house and that wise counsel is around us holding us up, then it's going to be a good house, you know what I'm saying? But I like what you said, just kind of that intricate stuff, man.
I didn't, also his point for coming back of submission, bro. I didn't want to skip over that. That was big time, because up on this house thing, if you call a plumber, you're basically saying, I don't know how to fix this. You're an expert. Can you come help? But there's no point in calling a plumber if you're not gonna listen to him. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, but you first again gotta say, hey, I don't know. I need help. But if you're not gonna ask for someone's help or admit that you need help, then you can't get help. You know what I'm saying? We always say it's in the context of God, but God can't help people who don't tell him that they need help. You know what I'm saying? First say, God, I need help. God's gonna come help you. But he's a gentleman, so he ain't gonna come help you unless you say, I have a problem, I can't do this. Can you help me?
You know, something that just came to my mind, because you talked about submission, is, you know, we submit ideas to each other, right? You guys give us feedback, or you guys give me feedback, I might give you guys feedback, and that's how we grow together. So we've been talking about wise counsel, but I want to flip the perspective. What if we are the people that are the wise counsel in somebody else's life? How do we live a life like that? I think it's important. The first thing that we should do when giving any wise counsel is listen, right? You have to listen to understand where a person might be going to, because a lot of times it's hard for somebody to come to you and ask for help. So if they are asking for help, man, listen to what they're actually going through instead of just trying to give them immediate feedback right away or immediate advice right away. Because sometimes, again, like we said last episode, a person might not want advice. They just want somebody to comfort them and support them. But if you can come up there and listen to them, now they can trust you, and they might trust your opinion more because they'll be more willing to submit to you once they see that you're actually caring about them and listening to them. So I think as a first step of being somebody's wise counsel is to listen to them, but also like submit to them. Hey, like, you know, I know this might be a hard time in your life. I know you might be going through these things, but I just want to submit this perspective to you. Hey, it's up to you to decide if you're going to listen or not. But hey, I'm just want to come to a humble posture where there's humility in my heart, and I'm saying, this is what's worked in my life. This can be helpful for you, but hey, you don't have to take it if you don't want to, man. So as we're wise counsel for ourselves, man, we got to listen and we got to submit ideas to people.
I think also if you're in the wise counsel position, you also have to be accepting of the pruning process. You have to be able to continually be cultivated by God each day. Like we always talk about the fruit, but for Christians, it's the fruits of the Spirit. So it's like having that self-control, having joy, you know, having patience. And that's what goes into being intentional in hearing somebody first with their problems. Like, hey, I need help. I'm coming to you with this advice. But if you lack the fruits of the Spirit, why would that person even come to you in the first place? Or at the same time, you won't be able to respond or help that person, you know, in the right way.
I mean, also too, we also, like, as we're giving advice, we're kind of wanting people to submit to us, but we're not submitting to God. And so it's a two-part thing. And he said, again, if you're saying this thing as advice, but you're not taking advice, then your thing's shot. You know what I'm saying? And so we have to submit to God as they submit to us. You know what I'm saying? I support y'all. I tell people, go follow them. Follow them on socials. Because I'm saying follow them as they're following Christ.
You know, you said the mention word submission under God, man. I just instantly thought of like the Ephesians where it talks about the husband and wife as they submit to one another, as they submit underneath Christ. Like Christ is the foundation. He's the house that we're underneath, and we follow his lead. I think it's important, man, when you're listening to any wise counsel, man, that person should be rooted in Christ, man, because at the end of the day, their best objective for you, or their goal for you, is just to push you closer to Christ, man. And sometimes it's going to be hard because we got sinful nature, man. Our flesh desires opposite to God. It's contrary. You know, the flesh and the spirit, they're at constant opposition with one another, man. So if we're not submitted to God, man, and you're getting that wise counsel from a worldly perspective, man, that might not be the best interest for you. Like I heard some people that were arguing today, and then they'd be like, oh, you should go cut that person off, man, or you should go run up on that person. It's like, bruh, like you haven't even given an opportunity to like reconcile together, man. So we have to understand sometimes hearing worldly advice isn't the best option for us, man, because it's coming out of a perspective that's fleshly, like it's coming out of a perspective that's sinful. So if we can actually, listen to people who are submitted under God, they're going to tell us, hey, don't go run up on that person, man, and actually go forgive them 7 times and 7 more times and 7 more times after that, as Jesus says, man. So I think it's important for us to be submitted under Christ to your guys' point, man, because he's the foundation. He's going to lead the example for us to reconcile people, to also give advice and counsel to others as well.
And bro, that's so good, because now, as you see in the world is just wants counsel in general, but they're not getting it from the right place, or they're not accepting wise counsel. And like you said, where a lot of people, refrain from wise counsel because they go against their desires. That's probably why a lot of people are not Christians today, because it goes against their fleshly desires. And at the same thing, like you can be seen as weird, if your wise counsel is telling you don't do that. But at the same time, like something that is supposed to qualify you, which is God, will now disqualify you in this world, you know?
That's real. Can you remind us of those 4 characteristics of God, man, that we talked about the other day, bro?
100%. I think, so it reverts back to Isaiah 9:6, where it talks about Jesus Christ, just him. It starts off with, for us is a child that's born. So, and they break down his 4 characteristics. It's a wonderful counselor, a mighty God, everlasting Father, and Prince of Peace. And so I asked Jira the other day, I said, what do you need God to be in your life right now out of those 4 characteristics? And he also asked me myself, and I said, for me, I need God to be an everlasting Father, right? And so I looked up what are the roles of a father, a protector, a provider, and a disciplinarian. And this can also be the same way with wise counsel, because when I look at my dad, I look at him, hey, that's wise counsel I can go to, because he is a protector, he's a provider, and he's a disciplinarian, and he does this in his own life. So I know that if he's telling me advice from this, it can help me as well. But at the same time, he doesn't get those characters if he's not submitted to God first.
Ooh, and I want to touch on another characteristic, man, that Prince of Peace. At the end of the day, man, a wise counsel, hey, it might not result in you having a peaceful decision in that moment, or you might be feeling peaceful in that moment, but at the end of the day, if God's in control, you're going to have a peaceful outcome in the long run, man. So I want to focus on if we have a characteristic of looking at God as the Prince of Peace. He's going to come into life, man. And yes, it's going to flip your world upside down. Like you said, the world is countercultural, or the Bible is counterculture to the world, man. So it's going to be opposite of everything that the world says, right? Those people that say, well, we're going to run up on that person, in roughhouse and be rambunctious, bro, right? Whereas God says, man, we about to go forgive them, man. And actually, we're actually about to love them and support them. Like the Bible says, to love our enemies, to do good to those who hurt us, bro. Bless those who curse us. Like all these things that are opposite of what the world actually tells us to do. So when we look at the Prince of Peace of Jesus, God gives us the peace in a situation that could need some counsel. Like, oh man, maybe I just went through a rough breakup, man, and my peace is shot, bro. What does the Prince of Peace do? He comes down, he gives us peace in that situation, man.
Bro, that's huge, because I love how you referred conflict, into how wise counsel will tell you hey, you need to go reconcile in the midst of that heated argument. And that's the same way that God works, because calling him a Prince of Peace. He gives you peace within the storm. And that's what the peace of God really is. And that's why it says the peace of God which surpasses all understanding. It makes no sense to why somebody can have so much peace in such a storm that's just so crazy and that's just so going around. And like that can also refer to like conflict too. And it can also, be said the same way, because the way that the world,
Bro, myself,
I do nothing, bro.
he lost character.
but the way like the world, bro, the world gives peace. They want it to be, just strictly quiet. Like there needs to be no storm. I can't have peace within this storm at all costs. But God is like, I give you peace in the storm,
I have to think of us and how all of us three have peace inside of our storms because of who we're focusing on. You know what I'm saying? So I think a couple episodes back, I talked about Peter getting out of the boat. But I think it's in that same story, they're all inside of the boat, the storm's going crazy, the ship's going up and down, you know what I'm saying? And they're all scared because they have lost focus on who they're with, who they're around, and they're with the Prince of Peace. And once he tells them, well, now they're all calmed down. But when we spend time with the Prince of Peace, it's gonna cause peace, you know what I'm saying? And me personally, I don't know anybody who doesn't want peace up in life. I feel like everybody wants peace in life. People want counsel, you know what I'm saying? And God can give us that.
Bro, that's so good.
I thought about that because you guys both just mentioned the storm and Peter on the storm, man. And, to the outside world, it's a big typhoon going on. It's like, why would I even want to be in that position, bro? But God's like, man, come to me. God says, come to me in the middle of your storm. And I think what God tends to do is, and even wise counsel is, flip our perspective, man. To the world, bro, it's a storm that I'm going to die, I'm going to drown in. But the guy said, this is an opportunity for you to step out in faith and trust me. In a situation where that could be adverse, that could be, an opposite of what we would want in that moment, God's like, just flip the perspective. What a wise counsel do, hey man, you might be looking at this in the wrong lens. Try flipping perspective. Try taking on the lens of God, man, and seeing what he can do in a situation, how your perspective might change. I think that's also tied into like humility and submission, because it takes humility and submission to flip the perspective. Because if you have to say to yourself, my way is not the best way in this situation, or my idea or my thoughts for this specific thing is not the best solution. So being able to flip that perspective is like, all right, I acknowledge that maybe I don't have all the answers. Maybe I am not right about what I should do in this situation, and I need to listen to you, or I need to listen to you. God wants us to flip the perspective and look towards him.
Bro, that's so good, because I like what you said, how like peace is something that everybody is looking for in the world, but they're looking for it in the wrong places. And that's the thing that wise counsel points you to, is the right places on where to find peace, And so when I think of like peace, like the pastor said it in church today, is like, peace is like, can be it's something that something that everybody wants, right? But it's super hard to attain. And when it feels like we have it, we can't keep it. But when God is like, here, I give you this peace. And that's why he has to be the Prince of Peace, because a prince has dominion. So it's like, man, you revert this back to wise counsel. Wise counsel is telling you, hey, like, you need to be focused on God. Like, you need to be focused on him, the Prince of Peace that's going to give you peace within the storm.
I feel like we kind of need that counsel, and we need God, because we're a lot of times, especially me, especially in the past, I use the same thinking that got me into a storm to get out of a storm. It's like, I need to change this whole perspective. And so I've got to seek counsel in God to get me out of this storm, because I'm the one who got me in. So how am I going to get out? I got to have that change of thought, that change of heart too.
I also think it's important, as you're like looking for wise counsel, man, to look at where people are going in your life, man. I mean, if the destination is across, man, and you're chasing across daily, man, you might want to look in that pool to ask people for advice, man. If people are running opposite the cross, should I really consider their advice? You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it might be some good worldly wisdom for like worldly things, but if my destination is, or my goal is to pursue Christ in all things, it might be best to look in the circle that's actually chasing Christ alongside me. Something else that I want to say is that we talked about God being the Prince of Peace, everlasting Father, but like that wonderful counselor role, man. Like, I think that's just so beautiful, man, because we get to see that God is, he's God, he's the Father, but he's also somebody who counsels us, who wants to listen to us, who wants to comfort us. So we're looking for counseling, wise counsel. The thing that they should do is meet us right where we are, man. I mean, not trying to tell me, hey, you got to come here and then I can help you out. No, it's like, dude, you're in the valley. I'm going to come down the valley. I'm going to help and I'm going to talk to you. And I'm going to listen to you and see how we can get out of this valley together, man. All of the situations where I've been and where I've been listening to wise counsel, they were willing to submit themselves, come down to where I was and help me get out together, man.
Man, I also want to say this too, like, Because there's some people that might be watching this that have wise counsel in their life, but they're neglecting that wise counsel. So don't neglect that wise counsel in your life that's telling you to go in the right way, but you don't want to follow it just, based on your desires. Like, these people are here to see you win. They would look, if people didn't care to see you win, they wouldn't be talking to you. So these people truly want to see you, live life the best, So it's just kind of like, listen to that wise counsel because they're there for you, and God has placed them in your life for a specific purpose. So it's like, you utilize them while you have them, because you never know when it's going, and you won't appreciate something until it's gone.
Also, heading off the bat, if I'm saying these words, counsel that is wise, and these people can't think of someone who's wise counsel, you're hanging around with the wrong people. I guarantee you. Because if there's 5 people up in your circle and you don't, and you're not thinking of asking any of these 5 people for counsel, bro, what circle are you hanging with? Because I have problems, I'm coming to people up in my tight circle, because I'm like, bro, these are some wise people, because I'm hanging around the right people. But again, if you're thinking like, I wouldn't ask my friends for that wise counsel, bro, why are you hanging around them then? They are not helping you.
Yeah, I think what I'm
simple as that, bro. I'm just so big on this, bro. Stop hanging around clowns. Hang out with freaking coaches, bro. Get away from these cheerleaders cheering you on no matter what, bro. Hang around coaches, bro. Break the kneecap, man. I'm fed up, bro. I haven't even had Sprite yet, bro. I'm just fed up on this, man.
If I'm understanding you guys correctly, you guys are saying it's important to be in a proximity of community.
Oh, man.
Like, we have to actually place ourselves in a position to actually receive counsel. Like, we cannot isolate ourselves, man. We can't isolate ourselves from the people who actually want to see us win. We can't neglect the wise counsel they want to give us, because I know that's a tendency for us to do in this world. When we feel like all things are falling apart in our lives, the tendency is like, let me go retreat back into my safe place by myself, man. But how will you get wise counsel in a situation? Because even my perspective might be jacked up in a situation that I perceive to be horrible. But you might be like, hey, what if you flipped the perspective? What if you looked at it like this? And you might say, hey, like, try doing this. This has worked for me. And me being in the proximity of community, you guys can help me, and I can grow together with the wise counsel. But if I'm continuously isolating myself, I'm not going to be able to position to be in community, and I'm not going to be able to receive wise counsel.
That's real. And something I learned too, just having wise counsel, is like, God wants to see you win, but he wants to see you win his way. And that's the thing, like, having wise counsel is they will show you that way. And like what you talked about, you said without wise counsel, plans won't be established. So it's like, and then it also says in the Bible too, in Proverbs 16, commit your way to the Lord and your plans will be established. Mm-hmm. So it's like, if I don't have this wise counsel around me, those plans will not be established. So if I don't have that wise counsel, or if I'm neglecting that wise counsel, I'm essentially not committing my way to God. So it's like, man, how can my plans be established in the future if I don't have that wise counsel around me, or I'm not committing my way to the Lord, which, brings that wise counsel around me,
Factual.
That's tough right there. Last thing I'll say this, and this just be a quick point, man. But as we're, in a situation where we're receiving wise counsel, I thought about the story of this Jacob, man, and how he wrestled with God because he was going through something and he really wanted God to bless him in that moment. I would say, don't be afraid to wrestle with God, because God knows what you're going through, man. He wants to comfort you. He wants to be the wonderful counselor. He wants to be the everlasting Father, the mighty God, man. He wants to come down and meet you right where you are, man. So if you have wise counsel, man, open your arms up and allow God to come in your life, because he's going to be somebody who's going to position people in your life to help you point closer to the way, man. So that's what I want to say. Don't be afraid to wrestle with God. Don't be afraid to listen and submit to those around you, man, because at the end of the day, they're going to push you closer to God, and that's what's going to be the best thing for you.
It's true.
Amen.
Cut it.
Amen. Cut it.
It's way too hard.
You need to cut it.
You got